Hi everybody.
Good evening. Welcome back to our community. It's such a pleasure to be here again with you tonight. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
Thank you so much.
So tonight we're going to be looking at the subject of fear, and we're going to share with you 7 tools to help you transition fear, to help you move through it and beyond fear. If you can hear me, just press the wow button so that we know that you can hear us. If you'd like to just press the wow button, and then we know that our sound is coming through all right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is John Homewood. I'm an integrative life coach, spiritual teacher. I've been doing this work for many, many years now, and it is my passion and my joy to share what I have picked up on my journey of awakening.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle, and I'm an astrologer and a life coach, and I do workshops, creative workshops, and John and I hold the space for live workshops when we're able to do them live, and we've started doing these every week, and we're just so enjoying being with you guys. That's our biggest joy.
Yeah, and if you can just give us comments. We love questions, we love comments, and something I would really like to know is, where are you listening to us from? Where are you watching us from?
Yeah.
Which city are you in? So you can just type out there and tell us where you're from. That's really great. And stick around until the end because Michelle will be doing a wonderful meditation to help clear and dissolve the fears that are coming up at this time. So do stay with us for that. Yes.
Yeah, and please post comments if you want to comment on something, because we'll check up on the comments later. I'm not going to do it now because it takes my focus away from you guys. But it's lovely. We're kind of watching you come up on the screen here. Hi Chantal, hi Antoinette. Thank you everybody for joining us.
And if Ellen's sitting watching, hello Ellen.
Yeah, we had to say that. So fear, yeah. We're going to be chatting about fear and how we can navigate it. It's something that's pretty close to me, that's for sure.
I think a lot of people have been feeling this with this time of uncertainty and a lot of anxiety around at the moment, we find with clients. And that's because the story is very, very unstable at the moment. So I'd like to begin this evening with a centering meditation to bring us out of that story of uncertainty, out of the story of the virus and the economic collapse and everything else that's been occupying minds today. So if you'd like to just make yourself comfortable in your chairs and take a deep breath in and close your eyes and focus on what is really real right now. What is really real in this moment? Take a deep breath in, right down to your belly button, and as you breathe that out, relax your shoulders and your neck muscles. Let's try that again. Take a deep breath in, right down to your belly button, and as you breathe out, just let go of the day. Let go of all the thoughts, all the activities. Let it go. Take a third deep breath in, blowing your tummy out like a big ball. Take the air right down to your toes. And then a long sigh out. Just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And now just allow life to breathe you. This energy that occupies your body. Allow this energy to gently breathe you. And just become focused on that slight pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. And the out-breath and the in-breath. Just become aware of that state of stillness. Become aware of everything you can hear in this moment. Hear the furthest sound without labeling it. Just listen. And become aware of who listens. Become aware that it is actually the stillness within you that listens for the faintest sound outside of you. And now say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Let's try that again. With your eyes closed, gently relaxed on your chair, say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Let's try that one last time. With your eyes closed, gently say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. And take a deep breath in, right down to your toes, and let the breath go. And as you let the breath go, sink further onto your chair, sink down further into your body. Let's try that again. Take another deep breath in, right down to your toes. And as you breathe out, sink down further into the present moment, back into your body, occupying your fingers, your legs, your shoulders, your spine. Fully occupy it with your awareness. And see if you can pick up the tingling sensation that radiates through your whole body in this moment. See if you can feel it at your fingertips. See if you can feel this aliveness in your cheeks and in your scalp. See if you can feel it in your forehead and your arms and your legs. Feel this aliveness. Another word for this feeling of aliveness is presence. Take another deep breath in. And as you release it, give a sigh and gently open your eyes. Now I wonder if in that exercise, when you were monitoring your thinking and wondering what your next thought was going to be, if you managed to pick up a little bit of stillness between the one thought and the other thought. Did you manage to do that? If you did, just hit the heart button. Hit the heart button. And I'll tell you why. Because that stillness is your heart. That stillness is you connecting with your heart. Your heart is that stillness. And that stillness is always available to us in the tiny space between one word, one thought, and another thought. One word and another word. That space is completely free from fear. Completely. And if we are able to invest our awareness into that space, fear becomes something of the past. So let's look at this thing called fear tonight, shall we?
Yeah, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll kick off. So fear, I think that when we are squeezed, like we're all being squeezed right now, on many different levels, we're being put into an unnatural position for us, not being able to go out much, not being able to do the things that keep us going normally, social interaction, connection with family, walking in nature, whatever we do that kind of keeps us together, those things have kind of been taken away. So a lot of fears are coming up. I know astrologically, with all the alignments that have been happening, it's sort of like a plumbing pipe's been stuck into the ground and is lifting up all the stuff that's underneath the surface to the surface. And one of those is definitely fear. So fear is an interesting one for me. It's been a very noisy, troublesome roommate for most of my life. one that wakes me up in the middle of the night, one that makes me feel like someone's grabbed me by the chest and is pulling my heart out sometimes. So it's something that I'm quite familiar with, and I've really sort of spent a lot of my life force and energy and time to find ways of actually dealing with it, because it really can make you go crazy in fear. So for me, fear arises when we feel separate, when we feel that we're not in the zone that John's just said, when we feel that we're alone, that we're isolated, that we've got no support, which is separate, that we're not supported, that there's nothing bigger holding us together. This is from my perspective, but I think it might be true for some of you. It's something that can come at you when you least expect it. And it can come, for me, it usually comes with a physical sensation that's often associated with a thought, but not always. Sometimes it's just this physical sensation of fear. And so for me, the way to deal with it is to accept it, is not to chase it away and make war with fear, because it's like a war on anything. War just doesn't work, full stop, because war is the opposite of love. So for me, it's about loving that fear to death. Loving it, just loving it, loving it. So as the fear arises, being aware that it's arisen, in what part of your body can you feel it? And if you can concentrate, or not concentrate, if you can focus your attention on the area in which you're feeling it in your body without the mind talk. So when the mind goes into a story about it, you can bring the mind back and just focus on the feeling and open more to it. So say to yourself, I accept you. Even though I'm feeling this fear, I accept you fully, and I pour my love into this fearful part of you. As opposed to saying, slap on the wrists, bad you shouldn't be fearful. You should be above all of this. So like anything, whatever we resist persists, and whatever we don't feel and acknowledge goes underneath the surface. And that's where illness starts, that's where emotional issues start, that's where all sorts of disorders begin, and that's where suffering is. So for me, it's about being honest about it. We're going to come up, John and I are going to discuss some tools just now, but making space for it and being honest about whether if you are feeling fearful, you don't even have to know the reason. You don't have to know what it is that you're fearful about. But all of us can actually feel that feeling. And it's to just say, okay, this is fear. This feels like fear. I'm going to open more to it, not shut down. So we've always got the choice of opening or closing. And closing shuts that doorway to love and to presence. So loving it to death, that's my motto. Loving it until it just can't survive, because fear does dissolve under the lens of love, under the energy of love.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
If that resonates with you, just send us a comment there or hit the like button, because that gets the information further out there on Facebook. I want to ask you just to put your mind back to first thing this morning. Think of what it was like this morning when you woke up. You were lying in your bed. Just think of how the room looked this morning. And you had certain thoughts about the day ahead. Maybe you had thoughts of concern, of worry. Maybe your first thoughts, like most people, were about the economic collapse or the virus or whatever. But just put yourself back into that situation that you were in first thing this morning. What was in your surrounding? What was in your awareness? So now we sit at 7:45 in the evening, South African time, and you've gone through this whole day. Now, what is the difference between this morning when you woke up and now? When you woke up this morning, the time was now. And what is the time now? It's the now. Now the mind will say, yeah, but this is a different now to the morning now. But experientially, it's not different at all. You were experiencing the now in bed this morning, and now you're experiencing now here this evening. And when you stepped back into the space between your thoughts, you entered that nowness, that presence. And the reason I'm looking at this is I want you to realize that the way we live our lives is an illusion. You know, Einstein says it's an optical illusion, although a very persistent one. This thing called time, linear time, going from this morning to this evening. It seems very real, but actually from an experiential point of view, it is the present moment. Think of going back to when you were, say, 13 years old or 10 years old. When you were experiencing that, it was the present moment. It was the now. The same now that you're in now, except there's a big difference. There's a difference between when you were 10, when you were 13, and between this morning and this evening. And the difference is your experiences. If you really think about it, the awareness that you have incorporates all your experiences along the way. Your body completely has changed since the age of 10 or 12 or 13. Your mental capacity has changed. Your education has changed. Your relationships has changed. Possibly your perspective on the world has changed. But you haven't changed. The real essence of who you are is exactly the same. It has, however, been enriched by the journey. If this makes sense to you, just hit the like button or send us a comment. Because this is really important, because we live life as if it is a linear journey, and what's really important is always the future. But in fact, we never get to experience the future. We always only ever experience the present moment. The present moment can be thought of as the light at the back of the cinema. Just think of it this way. The light at the back of the cinema shines constantly, doesn't move, doesn't go anywhere, doesn't get bigger, doesn't get smaller, it just shines. In front of that light comes a film. So the light is shining here, and the film comes past the light, 24 frames a second. One thing after another. That was Winston Churchill's definition of history. One damn thing after another. And so we get these frames going by. You know, 1 minute we're up, and the next minute we're down, and then we're up, and then we're down. But these are the frames coming in front of the light. That light in the cinema, in this analogy, is you. You are the light of awareness. You are consciousness. And in front of the light of your awareness is the drama of your life, is the story of your life, are the events of your life. And the only thing that's important when you leave the cinema is your experience of the film. The film is gone. The story is unfolded. But what you take with you is the experience. And so what remains from this morning when you woke up to this evening is your experience of the day. And what remains wherever you are now in your life compared to where you were 10, 12, 13 is your experience. Am I right? Now, who's responsible for that experience? Who's responsible for everything that you experience today? Is it the outside circumstances? Yes, to a certain degree, the outside circumstances gave you the experience. But I'm going to say, hang on a minute, let's go a bit deeper than that. Because you can have two people in a room experiencing exactly the same set of circumstances, and yet having a completely different internal perception and experience of those events. And as you start to awaken, you start to realize that. You start to realize that the only thing important is your experience. And that you ultimately are directly responsible for that experience. Because you can have gone through today, and you can be sitting in your home, and you can have had food, 3 meals maybe, and yet you could have been in a state of fear. You could have spent the whole day in a state of fear and anxiety. Yeah. On the other hand, if you were sitting in a hotel room, maybe in Bali, maybe some of you are listening from a hotel room in Bali. Hello if you are. And it could be raining outside, and you might be forced to sit inside a room in Bali while it rains outside. You can't go out. And you won't be experiencing the fear and anxiety that you are sitting at home here. Same set of circumstances. You're in a room, you can't go anywhere. But the experience is completely different. Now the difference is your mind. The difference is the story you're telling yourself. When you start to realize that it's not the external circumstance directly that create your fear, it is rather your thoughts about the situation. It's a story about the situation that creates the fear and anxiety. And if you really look at fear, most fear, almost all fear, is to do with tomorrow. It's to do with the future. It's to do with what happens when. In other words, it's out there somewhere ahead of you. And if you go back in life, say, for example, I remember I was so proud to get my matric certificate. But in the months and the weeks leading up to those matric exams, I was so fearful, so worried. That's gone. That's gone. What was I fearful about? I could have gone through those months with enjoyment. Why did I worry? Why did I have fear? The outcome would have probably been better if I hadn't been worried, because I would have improved my IQ, because we do know that when you're in fear, your intellectual capacity diminishes. When you are enjoying life, your intellect goes up, your intelligence goes up. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we diminish the experience of our journey through fear? Well, fear is an acronym, and the acronym is false evidence appearing real. And the false evidence is I am what I do, I am what I have, and I am what other people think of me. I am my past, and I'm going to a future where I'm going to find everything of value. That's a story we tell ourselves, and that's an illusion. And the problem is, when you are living in any illusion, there's always the ending of that illusion. And that ending of an illusion is disillusionment. Disillusionment. And with disillusionment comes pain and suffering, and quite often fear of uncertainty. So we have that analogy again of the film going past the light, 24 frames a second. That's a story that we have in our head. Those are 60,000 thoughts that we think every day, coming in front of our awareness of the thoughts. In this analogy, the light shines, but the result of that light shining is interfaced with the film blocking some of the light. There's a layer on top of clear celluloid which blocks some of the light. And that blockage creates our experience. We sit in the cinema and we have these moving shadows on a wall, and if it's a very good director, very good film production, we get totally caught up as if it was real. But in fact, what is happening is that light at the back of the cinema is being blocked by the film on the celluloid. The denser the film, the more dark the movie. The less dense the film, the lighter the lighter the experience. Now that denseness that's on the film can be likened to our thoughts. The more dense your thoughts are, the more heavy your experience is going to be. And if you wanted to change the story in the movie, you can rush up to the front of the cinema and try and change the shadows on the wall, and that ain't going to do anything. Or you can go up to the projection booth and take some acetone and some cotton wool and wipe the film and make it clear. And then all you get is a white wall, and then your experience is gone. And it's the same with life. You can carry those dark thoughts which create your fear and your anxiety in you. They are projections of a future that you don't know for certain what's going to happen in the future. But they influence your experience that you're having today. In other words, your projection into the future is directly robbing you, generally, of the joy of this moment, of the actual love and the sense of life that's in this moment, that this moment contains. Or you can clear those films. You can clear the thoughts from your mind, which we did earlier on. When you entered the space between your thoughts, that is clarity, that is presence. Now, this might not be too easy for most of you to live your whole day in that space, but it is doable. There are many people who live their whole lives in that space between their thoughts. They're then able to use their thinking mind. If they have to use their mind to maybe work out a particular problem, they have to work out a solution, or they have to dial a telephone number, they can pick up their mind, they can use that analytical mind, and then they can put it down and come back into presence and peace again. But when the mind uses you, that is a problem. And fear is when the mind is using you. You're not in control of your thoughts. You're not using your mind. Those thoughts are there and they are darkening the film. And you're not able to see the light. You're not able to see the joy contained in this moment. You're not able to see the opportunities in this moment because you're so caught up with these dark, fearful, anxious thoughts. And all of that, this whole false evidence appearing real, is predicated on one misperception. And that is that I am what I do, what I have, what other people think of me. I am this body. I am my past and I'm going to the future. And part of the freedom that comes from the awareness that you're none of that is the freedom then to choose your attitude, to choose your emotions, to choose your experience, no matter what you're going through. You start to have the freedom to choose how you're going to experience this particular moment. Not necessarily your circumstances, but you choose how you experience those circumstances. So the primary error of believing in this matrix of thought is predicated on you not knowing who you are. You believe you are the story. You believe you are the film, the movie. You believe you are the role on the left, which is maybe what's happened already, and maybe you're the role on the right of what's going to happen. That's not you. You are the light. The light that at the end of the film is completely untarnished by the movie, unaffected by the movie. You can put a war movie on, you can put a love movie on, you can put a comedy. The light that shines at the back of the cinema is completely impervious to the story, although it gives you the experience. Without the light, you couldn't have the experience. So the light of your awareness gives you experience. Now, on the journey from the age of 10, 12, or 13 to where you are now, that experience can have been a joyful dance of love and peace and gratitude, or can have been a fearful, anxious, worried about what's going to happen. You have brief moments when things seem to be working out okay, and then the drama happens again. That has been your creation, not your circumstances. It's how you went through every single step that determines your experience, not what happens to you. So having given that parameter fear, I'd just like to talk a bit about fear. What is fear? Fear is a sense of separation. I'm separated from presence, I'm separated from the world, I'm just a random figure in the universe. That's a sense of separation. And that I live in a universe that's completely out of control. That's just a happenstance. That is the belief pattern that predicates fear. That's the underlying misperception of fear. What else do I want to say about it there? Yeah, fear is also about limitations. It's about not knowing who you are, not knowing the infinite magnificence of who you really are when you are aligned with your awareness. I mean, the body is finite, the body is limited, but you aren't. You occupy a body tonight. The body you occupy tonight is not the body you occupied when you were 10 or 12 or 13. It's a different body. You occupy many bodies. You have many experiences in life. But that which is doing the occupying is infinite. In your truth, you are the cosmos. You are the magnificence of life itself. And what we do is we put boundaries around ourselves. You know, people often say, oh, I need more boundaries in life. And I tend to disagree with that. What we really need is not more boundaries, not more separation. We need more connection. Yeah. We need to feel more connected. And another word for feeling connected is love. Love is the antidote to fear. The sense of connection is the medicine for that disconnection that we feel.
I think also one of the main fears is that people are fearful that you can't cope with what might happen, that you don't have the resources to cope with what might happen. So what John's saying about the film and the light, I love that analogy because it's such a clear one. If you see yourself as the light, then you can cope with anything. If you see yourself as the shadows on the wall, you're just going to have sleepless nights. So it's illusion, you know. But if you know that you're the light, you know that whatever comes into the front of you is going to pass through, and you're going to get through it.
So to ask you a question, has anything ever happened to you in life that you haven't managed to get through?
No, because we're here.
Has anything ever happened that you weren't able to deal with at the time? No, because we're here. So that is the same for your future. You will always cope with everything that comes along. And as impossible as it is to get through that, when you get there, you will get through it. You know, all of us will die successfully, completely successfully, and yet we worry about doing it. You'll get through successfully. No one's ever died unsuccessfully. So don't even worry about death. We'll transition that very, very simply when it comes to it. But the thought about it is the problem.
Yeah, it's that fear that you're not going to cope.
Yeah.
That if this happens, X, Y, Z, I'm not going to get through it. I have a wonderful cousin who kind of goes through life really without a lot of anxiety. And a couple of years, a little while ago, I said, how do you manage to not get anxious? And he said, because I know that I have the resources to cope with whatever comes my way. And that for me, that's that taproot that I've been speaking about. It's that sense of knowingness that I'm solid in myself as the light to deal with whatever comes through. So that's one of the things that I do if I wake up in the middle of the night with fear, is I just tell myself that it's okay, you're the light. You are stable enough and secure enough in yourself to deal with whatever comes across that screen. Yeah, so that's a bit of a tool, I suppose.
Yeah. So to realize that fear is this illusion, the
Yeah.
illusion that I'm vulnerable and finite. And the opposite of that is love, when you feel this absolute connection with your true, authentic being. The word is being as against human. Human is the story. Being is the light that shines through the story. You are being while you're having a human experience. And as you start to align with being, which is love, another word for being is love, then it's impossible to fear, to feel the feeling of fear. It's impossible for fear to be there because it's false evidence appearing real. But now we'd like to maybe give you the 7 steps for helping dissolve fear. Should we do that?
Yeah, I think just quickly onto that, it's not in my experience, it's not a one-time fix. It's not, well, I've done this once and I've eradicated fear for the rest of my life. It's every time that fear comes in. So the pendulum starts to swing less. So if you're a fearful person or an anxious person and your pendulum goes like that, the more you actually bring yourself into that place of presence, the less the pendulum swings. And the easier you can recognize it when it's there. And you acknowledge it, say, oh, there it is. But it hasn't gone wild, away, out of control. You've actually just brought it back to the reality, which is this moment, which is fine. Nothing wrong with this moment. Just our thoughts about what might happen tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's
so
wrong.
we're taking our energy from
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
the energy we have today, and we're putting it into a story in our head about
Which will
tomorrow.
probably never
And,
happen.
and the greatest truth you can ever know, that in each and every moment you're always given exactly what you need in that moment to deal with that moment. Today you're not necessarily given all the tools to deal with tomorrow because tomorrow's not here. But when tomorrow comes, you will be given the right tools to deal with tomorrow. And when you have that knowledge, when you have that experience, there isn't anything to worry about. You can't worry. It's an impossibility because you know you've always been looked after and you always will. It's not your egoic wants that are looked after, by the way, but it's your real needs. When you look back on your life and say, yes, I seem to have been lacking in that moment, but now looking back, my goodness, I needed to go through that because that enriched me in a way that if I had had my egoic desires met in that moment, it would have robbed me of the depth of that experience that I needed to go through. Yeah.
So we just thought we'd share some tools that we've come across. There's lots, but how John and I sort of deal with it. So one of my main ones, it always is to feel it. So we understand that it's an illusion. We understand that it's not true, that it's mostly just false evidence appearing real. And we know on some level that most of our fears, most of what we've been fearful has never happened. Other stuff's happened, but not what we've laid awake thinking about. That generally doesn't happen. Does sometimes, but very seldom. If I think about the things I've worried about in my life that have never happened, really, I would love to have that time back, because honestly, it's a waste of time. So, but having said that, we still have the feeling. The feeling comes unannounced. So for me, it's to recognize the feeling inside my body as opposed to in my head. So the fear comes in, sometimes it's a clutching in the chest or the solar plexus or your throat. It sort of comes in different ways for different people. So to kind of get it somatically in your body, where is this feeling? And then once you've actually got the feeling in your body, to open more to it, which is, a lot of people don't want to do that because they don't want the fear. What is this fear? I shouldn't have this fear. Go away. I shouldn't have it. And that's the first block, because if you do that, you're just repressing it. So you're closing the tap. So if you can just say, I'm feeling this in my, let's just say in my solar plexus, feels like someone's gripped hold of me. Then you breathe, because breathing expands you and it actually softens the heart. It opens you so that you can actually process it and let it flow through you. So breath is huge. Breathe as deeply as you can, as peacefully as you can, and just keep breathing in and out. What you can do is you can make your out breath a little bit longer than your in breath, because that automatically starts to relax you. Soften is another huge word, because our tendency when we're fearful is to clutch and clench and hold our breath. That's what we do. So the opposite is to soften and breathe. That's completely, in that moment, that fear will start to dissolve. Open more to it and send love into that fear. So as opposed to criticizing yourself and shutting it down, say, how can I love you, Michelle, through this fear? And bring that energy of love into the middle of that place in your body, wherever you feel it. So those are 2 tools.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
In order to dissolve anything, you have to feel it. Feeling is healing.
Yeah.
So it's no good denying the fear and pushing it down and suppressing it. You need to dive deep into it. And I always say there's a murky pool there. Don't avoid the pool. Dive into the middle of that pool and feel it fully. If you feel it fully, I promise you, within a few moments, that deep, dark emotion starts to dissolve, because it's dissolving in the light of your awareness. And then the breath, why is the breath so effective? Yes, it opens you up. You know, I teach one of the things is public speaking, and when people get nervous, they tighten their diaphragm and they don't breathe deeply. So to reverse the fear of public speaking, one of the tools and techniques we give them is to soften your diaphragm, to breathe from your tummy like we did earlier. Because the moment you do that, you actually reverse the brain's processes and you actually induce a calmer way into the body just by breathing. But the real secret in breathing is the breath is aligned with life. It's called the breath of life. Yeah. So the moment you breathe, you're present. You're absolutely present. It takes one conscious breath to bring you out of your story, out of the movie, back into reality. So that's the power of breathing as well.
Yeah, and just to bring yourself, if the thoughts do come in, because they do, the story does come in. So as soon as that fear grips, then the story will start. Is to just notice, be the witness to the story. Oh, hang on, I've gone into a story. Let me go back to just the feeling. Just this feeling that I feel right now. That's it. Oh, story? No, come back. Just the feeling. And that's when it passes quick. When you get attached to the story, it's not so quick. Because then you go down a million different rabbit holes as to why you're feeling fearful. So to just bring it back to that feeling.
Yeah. And the third tool we'd like to share with you this evening is affirmations. Affirmations are so powerful. And at the end this evening, before we let you go, I'm going to give you another affirmation card like we did on Sunday. Affirmations have changed my life. I remember 20 odd years ago, I had 4 businesses. They were all going insolvent, and my life was really hectic and challenging at that stage. And I came across the power of affirmations, and I typed it up as a 3D screensaver on my computer. Life is great. Now, my life was anything but great back then. And gradually I started to say that over and over again, and my life transformed into being great. And today I can quite easily say that life is great with full honesty, where back then I couldn't. So an affirmation might not be true when you start, but it becomes your truth. I mean, we had Muhammad Ali, one of the world's best boxers, and when he started boxing, he wasn't very good at all. And he said, I am the greatest. And he carried on saying that over and over again. And eventually that became his truth, and he did become the greatest. It wasn't true when he started, but affirmations rewire the brain. So, for example, if we have a fearful situation, that fearful situation is normally brought about in our minds because of fearful thoughts. And what we can do is we can reverse engineer those thoughts. For example, one of the powerful affirmations I find for overcoming fear is, I am guided and protected always. Yeah. I am guided and protected always. And that reverses it. Now, that affirmation starts out with the I am. The I am is the most powerful phrase you can use. It's the name of the Creator, the Aya Asha, I am that I am. And anything you put after that, you give the Creator's energy to. So I am guided and protected, and suddenly you start creating that truth in your life. And you came across a very good affirmation.
Yeah, we'll do it later as well, but when I feel afraid, I open my heart and let love and presence dissolve the fear. So when I feel afraid, so I'm afraid now, let's just say, I open my heart and let love and presence dissolve the fear. And another one I use a lot is, I'm surrounded by light and love. I'm filled with light and love. I am light and love. That for me is like a mantra. I often say that if I'm feeling weird, or just repeat it over and over, and it actually creates that energy as you're saying it. As you're saying it to yourself, even though you might not feel in the beginning, it starts to build it.
Correct, yeah. So affirmations are very, very powerful. We can put up a few examples on Journeys of Awakening website on the treasure. We can put a few there for you as well, and we'll end this evening with one as well. So it's to understand that fear comes from the horizontal plane. The cure for fear is in the vertical plane, which is presence. And another word for presence is love. Love. And what is love? We can't understand it, and it's been so misused by society. They'll sell us love in a package. That's not love. So the love I want to share with you tonight as a guiding light into the vertical plane is the signpost, allow and accept. Allow and accept is the doorway into the light. And it is the not allowing which builds fear and anxiety within us. We're saying no to life in that moment. Try saying yes to life. Try allowing life, accepting life in this moment. That is an antidote to the horizontal plane of fear. So that is an exercise. I allow the situation to be exactly as it is. Try that. They're very, very powerful. Very powerful. Yeah.
Hello, Alan. I had to say that. Sorry, he asked us.
Hello, Al. Alan is a friend from school. I've known him for, well, how long have I been out of school? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years?
A bit longer.
Many years. And he wanted to be acknowledged. Hello, Alan. Yeah.
Be acknowledged to Alan. So following up on that, there's a very good technique. If you haven't come across it, it's called Emotional Freedom Tapping Technique. I'm not going to take you through it now because there's a whole of stuff on the internet. But one of the things I like, it's a tapping technique where you actually tap different meridian points in your body. So you can get those off the internet, just Google it. But the words that you use while you're doing it is what I really like, because what you do is you acknowledge what you're feeling. So even though, and you tap, even though I'm feeling fearful right now, or sad, or whatever, breathe. I deeply love and approve of myself. That's it. So you're acknowledging it, and you're actually bringing in an affirmation. And so it's a wonderful way of dealing with it, because a lot of the time we don't acknowledge and we shut down. So, and that is a most amazing technique. Honestly, you can actually move your way through panic through emotional freedom technique. It's amazing. Try that. And then the other one, which a lot of you would already know, is journaling. So if you wake up and you're full of anxiety and fear, grab a journal and write down those thoughts. Get them out of your busy mind. Get them onto paper. It's clearing the windscreen. It's a bit like clearing the bugs off a windscreen. You clear it and you clear it and you clear it. So journaling for many people is a huge tool in just getting it out of your head. And once it's out of your head, you can look at it, and most of the time, it's like, really? I'm really fearful of that? Like, what are the chances? And so you can actually see that it's not true. And then you can actually go into presence and bring in the love and the light and all of that. So that's another one.
If you're finding this helpful, just press the like button or a little heart, or if you really find it fantastic, press the wow button, and please leave comments for us. We don't get a chance while we are teaching here to answer the comments, and there's also a time delay. But afterwards we do go through those comments, and we value your comments. Yeah. So please take time to tell us you're here with us, where you're from. We want to know which city in the world you're from, and just type out some comments. And thank you for all the hearts that we're seeing on the screen right now. We're getting plenty of hearts, so thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
And suggestions of also what else you'd like us to talk about. So if you've got something specific that's on your mind that you'd really like us to chat about, put it in the comments bar. And we've got a site called journeysofawakening.com, and we've got a beautiful resource page there, which we're busy building. And it'll have recordings of all our old stuff, and we're putting those 7 tools up there. There'll be a recording of this, and anything we come across that actually helps us and might help you will be there. It's called the Treasure Chest. Yeah. So just visit there whenever you like.
Yeah. So to recap, the 7 tools we've shared with you so far. First of all, to feel the emotion, not to suppress it, not to try and understand it, but to feel it. Secondly, to breathe deeply below your diaphragm, into your belly button. The power of affirmations, the power of presence, allowing, accepting, journaling. That's a big one. I say, you got the thoughts going around in your head. Put them down on a piece of paper. The moment you put them down in the physical world, they're not as serious as they were when they're in your head going around at 2 o'clock in the morning. So write them down, get them written down. EFT, which Michelle so eloquently described for us. Have a look on YouTube, fantastic, and it's such an easy technique to learn yourself. And the final one, which we'd like to share with you tonight, is the tool of trust. What creates fear is the feeling of uncertainty and the lack of trust. Now, life is always changing. It always has changed, and it always will change. So don't trust your mind's projection about the future, but trust the vertical line, which we call life, that in each and every moment you will be given the tools. You always have, and you always will. So don't trust life to work out the way that your egoic mind says it must, but trust that you've been given in each and every moment the experience that you most need in that moment, and you're given the tools to deal with that experience in the moment. You always have, and you always will. As we said previously, the word cosmos means order. And as above, so below. So the stars aren't randomly placed. The moon isn't just randomly placed a certain distance from Earth. The sun isn't where it is by accident. Mars, Pluto, Neptune aren't randomly placed in the universe. All you have to do is speak to a good astrologer like Michelle, and she will convince you very quickly when she looks at your place and time of birth and how that has mapped out your life journey here on Earth in an incredible way. And so the cosmos that is out there is also in you. The same energy that orchestrates the cosmos. You can call it life, you can call it God, you can call it any other name, but that energy is way more intelligent than you, and lives in you and through you and orchestrates the world around you. That energy called life beats your heart, digests your food. It allows you to hear, to see. You don't have a clue how to do that. Not even you, Alan. People, we have such a limited, as human beings, such a limited perception of what is really going on in our body at any one time. And yet the body works. Walking, we don't even have a clue how to walk, because how do you know which muscle to contract and which one to lengthen? You don't. But there's an intelligence in you that does. Now that intelligence permeates all of creation, and it'll permeate your future as well. You are guided and protected every single step of your journey, not necessarily giving you what you want, but it definitely gives you exactly what you need for your highest soul growth. So that's the seventh tool, is to trust that intelligence, which we can call life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do a little bit in the visualization meditation. So settle down into your chair or on your bed or wherever you are watching this thing, and I will guide you through just a short visualization to kind of get you into working with this in the way that we've suggested. So I think, should we do the affirmation?
We can do this at the end.
afterwards?
Let's just
Yeah.
give them a surprise. So we've got a lovely affirmation card which we'll draw for you, which Michelle will draw.
Yeah.
And that can be your guiding affirmation
Going forward.
message going forward until we meet again on Sunday. And just to, let's put in a plug for Sunday.
Yeah.
What are we talking about on Sunday?
12 steps to awakening
12 Steps to Awakening.
on
Yes.
Sunday.
So join us on Sunday and leave your comments and your questions below, and we can maybe look at those on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have a WhatsApp group that we've started. The link's on our website. So if you do want to join the WhatsApp group, it's not a group where everybody responds because it's too many responses. It's just a broadcast group. So we only put basically what we're going to be doing and when our next talks are and stuff.
Yeah,
on
and
there.
also we will upload the video recording of what
Yeah.
we're doing tonight to YouTube, because maybe some of your friends are not on Facebook and you'd like to share it with them, and we'll put a link to that in Journeys of Awakening on the resources page. Yeah, so you can share this as well. It's I believe it's a time of transformation. The earth is going through a lot of challenges right now, and the more we can share the light with others, the more we can enlighten the load that people are going through at the moment. So if you're really enjoying tonight, don't forget to press the like and the love button, the heart button, but also to share this information with others. If you found it beneficial to you, did you find it beneficial, or are you finding it beneficial? Just leave us a comment if you are. Thank you.
Yeah, and just be aware that circles like this, because this is a circle, it's not a physical circle, but it's a circle of light. And that is what's actually going to transform this earth. If anything is going to transform this earth, that's what's going to be. So this has got a bigger purpose. It's to help you guys, it's to get together, yes, but it's also because we're actually getting together in a space of light and love and sharing that. And that is incredibly powerful, more powerful than I think we even know.
Yeah.
So you all ambassadors of that. You are all able to do that in your own community. Take it out there, Now, Antoinette was watching. She started her thing. She's putting her light out there. It's amazing. That's what we all need to do. So, yeah. All right. So let's...
I'm going to put the lights out. Should we bring the candle? Do we do that?
I don't know if we should. It's a bit of a mission. Let's just...
Okay.
Because we're running out of
Okay.
time. You can turn the light off if you like. Don't turn that light off. Just see if that works.
No, you can't turn that one off.
Oh, okay. Should put this over here.
Hold on, I just want to put the candle here. Just 1 second. Just 1 moment.
Burning the
Just gonna hold
candle. Burning the candle.
that. I'm just going to put the candle here because it's so much nicer.
There's our
Don't move your-
thing. Okay.
Oh,
Oops,
burn
did you burn
myself.
yourself?
No. There we are. Now we've got a candle.
Okay, there's a candle. Okay, so just relax. Get yourself comfy. How do you turn this thing off? There we go. That's better.
Right, how about
It's
that?
very bright.
Too bright? No, that's
Oh,
nice.
that's fine.
There we go. Okay.
Okay. Just taking a few nice deep breaths in. And out. Relaxing breath out. So deep belly breath in. Fill up your tummy and then bring that breath all the way up to your chest And on the out breath, just release. Just let it all out. Just sigh it out. Sigh it all out on the out breath. And another deep breath in. And a releasing breath out. Just release all the tension, the pressure, the fear, the worry and everything. Just come into the present moment. Imagine a beautiful light coming in through the top of your head, pouring in through your body, all the way down, through your body, and all the way down through the bottom of your feet, through the soles of your feet, and into Mother Earth. Let that light spread out as roots, holding you firmly, securely, protecting you, nourishing you, surrounded by light and protection. Then take your attention to your heart, to that beautiful heart that keeps you going, keeps you alive, pumps your blood. And set the intention there to soften and open your heart. So take your shoulders and put them back a little bit so that you're actually opening that heart center. Soften it as if you had a flower opening there. Soften it so that it receives. And now you might want to bring your attention to something that has been fearful for you. So you might have felt fear early this morning when you woke up, or sometime during the day. You might have read something or got a message from someone or watched something on video, on your cell phone. Something which kind of made you feel a bit uncomfortable and maybe a bit fearful. Maybe it wasn't today, maybe it was yesterday. Just connect with something where you felt a physical sensation. And very briefly, we're just going to do a short exercise to just feel into that. So isolate the event in your mind and feel it in your body. Where do you feel it? Just scan your body, and usually you'll find one or two places. Just bring gentle awareness to the place that's kind of calling you. And when you've got that place, there's no judgment, there's no trying to get rid of it. All you do is soften. So drop your shoulders, open your heart even more, relax your body, and breathe all the way into the middle of that sensation. Right into the middle of it. And you might find that that sensation has a color. You might find that it has a shape or a texture. It might even have an image associated with it. So whatever comes up for you, just notice it. There's no judgment. There's no trying to analyze it. All you're doing is just noticing that feeling and breathing into it. Opening up more and breathing into it. Breathing, feeling, opening. Breathing, feeling, and opening. And then to this, you can add the affirmation. I open my heart and let the love dissolve the fear. Even though I feel this way, I deeply love and approve of myself right now. I am surrounded by light. I am filled with light. I am light. I'm surrounded by love. I'm filled with love. I am love. Take a nice deep breath. And check in with that place in your body. See if there's any relief, release, if it feels a bit lighter. If not, you can continue doing this for a little bit, and it will actually dissolve if you put your focus on it and you stay with it and you're open to it. So I'm going to bring you back. Just take a nice deep breath in and a releasing breath out. And become aware of your body, and when you're ready, if you like, you can open your eyes. If you don't like, you can go to sleep and just relax. And thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, everyone. Before you go to sleep, let me give you an affirmation. Shall we do that quickly? Michelle, would you like to choose one? We chose a green one.
That's a good one. My point of trust is in the present moment.
So that's the card. My point of trust is in the present moment. We'll put this up on the WhatsApp group and we'll put it up on the website tomorrow. My point of trust is in the present moment. I don't trust the future, but I trust the present moment. That is the solvent to all the fear. Thank you for being with us tonight. Join us on Sunday if you enjoyed today, this evening. Tell your friends about it. We'll be back on Sunday night at 7:30. 7:30 Sunday night, we'll be talking about the 12 steps to awakening. It's actually not steps, it's actually processes that we need to go through. The awakening is only a single step into the present moment, but we're going to give you 12 tools there. So thank you. If you enjoyed tonight, press the like, press the heart, and leave your comments, please, and we'll get to them later. Bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Namaste.
Thanks, everybody. Night.
Good night. Good night.